Masidi Manjun, Minister of Local Government and Housing of Sabah.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please stand for Malaysia's national anthem and the Sabah state anthem. Please be seated.
a lively dance by the National Department for Culture and Arts Sabah and Pratama Legacy, a reflection of the unity of the people of Malaysia, where the Muhibbah spirit lives on across the nation and right here in Sabah, Malaysian Borneo. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to seek blessings from the Almighty, we will begin our formalities this morning with a dua recitation led by Al-Fadil Ustaz Ahmad Zain Abdul Lamid from the Sabah State Mosque. Al-Fadil Ustaz, please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إلى حضرة النبي المصطفى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وأزواجه وذريته وعلى كل صحابة الكرام أجمعين لهم الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أمرنا بالشورى تكريما للقلوب وتأليفا للقلوب وتقديرا لحرية الرأي وحفظا لأمور من الخطأ والزلال، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء وإمام المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن دعا بدعوته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم يا رب الكائنات وقاضي الحاجات، ya Allah, kami memohon agar pertemuan pada hari ini dianugerahkan hidayah dan taufik agar urusan harian kami berjalan dengan lancar, beroleh kejayaan dan keberkatan. Ya Allah, kami dipertanggungjawabkan dengan amanah yang berat, maka anugerahkanlah kepada kami keupayaan dan kemampuan untuk melaksanakan amanah dan tanggungjawab tersebut. Allahumma ya Allah, jadikanlah majlis ini sentiasa mendapat petunjuk ke jalan yang diridai, serta hindarkanlah hati-hati kami dari sifat-sifat buruk yang boleh merosakkan keharmonian dan perpaduan. Allahumma ya wasi'al maghfirah wa ya munzilal barakati war rahmah, selamatkanlah kami dan jadikanlah zaman ini zaman yang bertambah-tambah aman dan tenteram. Semoga negara kami terus maju, lagi makmur dan rakyat dapat hidup bersatu, bantu-membantu di antara satu sama lain demi kesejahteraan bersama. Allahumma hassin halatana siyasiyah wal iqtisadiyah wal ijtimaiyah ila ahsani hal, innaka ala kulli syai'in qadir wa bil ijabah jadir. Allahumma aminna fi watanina wa aslih أحوالنا وأصلح ذات بيننا وولاة أمورنا، وخذ بأيدنا وبأيديهم إلى ما في خيرنا وخير وطننا وأهدنا سبل السلام. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Terima kasih. Thank you, Al-Fadil Ustaz. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Good morning. We would like to welcome the following distinguished guests. The Honorable Datuk Seri Panglima Masidi Manjun, Minister of Local Government and Housing of Sabah, representing the Right Honorable Datuk Seri Panglima Haji Hajiji bin Haji Noor, the Chief Minister of Sabah. Mr. Harry Huang, Regional Director of Asia and the Pacific World Tourism Organization. Dato' Haja Saraya RB, Secretary General, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Malaysia. The Honourable Dato' Jeffrey Arifin, Minister of Tourism, Culture and Environment of Sabah. Dato' Muhammad Zamri Mat Zain, Deputy Secretary General, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Malaysia. Professor Dato' Chemist Dr. Mazlin Mokhtar, Deputy Head of Research for the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Asia, Sunway University, and today's featured keynote speaker. Honourable tourism ministers from participating countries, Their Excellencies, the Ambassadors, High Commissioners and Consul Generals, State Ministries, Permanent Secretaries, State and Federal Heads of Department, members of the media, speakers, delegates, ladies and gentlemen.
Kopi Vosian, selamat datang and welcome to the World Tourism Conference 2022.
Now allow me to introduce a fine individual standing next to me. She is no stranger to the travel and tourism industry, having served as the Sabah Tourism Board's magazine travel writer and editor for over 12 years. And today she continues to write as a freelancer while working with young people in advocating climate action and sustainability. And yes, between all of that, she finds time to hone her skills as a professional MC. I'm always inspired by her good work. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Melissa Leong.
That's very kind of you, Ben. In return, I am very honored to introduce my partner in crime today, and he is a man that wears many hats. A hotelier by profession, a social media content crafter. If you want to know anything about food and entertainment in Sabah, he's your man. And an MC extraordinaire and a radio announcer with Kota Kinabalu's beloved radio station, KK12 FM. He's really the voice of the people. He is my partner, Mr. Ben Uzair.
Thank you, Melissa. We would also like to welcome our viewers who are tuning in on our broadcast via YouTube and Facebook. We are currently live from the Sabah International Convention Center in Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia. Wherever you are in the region and around the world, welcome to the opening ceremony of the World Tourism Conference 2022. Do let us know where you're at and where you're tuning in, and make sure you comment in the comment box. We hope that you will make Sabah your future travel destination. So, Melissa, the World Tourism Conference is certainly a momentous event. Sabah is indeed proud to be the host, and would you like to just mention a few words of introduction to all who are attending today?
It would be my honor, Ben. Ladies and gentlemen, none have suffered the impacts of a global pandemic quite like the travel and tourism industry. As we recover from these wide-ranging impacts, we now have a great opportunity to reflect, reset, and review lessons learned from these challenging times towards a more sustainable future. Our theme this year is Tourism Futures Reimagined, and I can't imagine a better platform than WTC 2022 to discuss and showcase tourism futures and strategies.
That's right, Melissa, and we are in good company to do so with some of the greatest thought leaders in tourism from around the world right here with us today. In fact, more than 1,000 delegates from 60 countries participating in this year's WTC. On behalf of the organizers, we warmly welcome you to enchanting Sabah, Malaysian Borneo. From mountain high to ocean deep, Sabah is a paradise that beckons, and I hope you will find time to explore this gem of an island. Melissa, I guess we shall begin the formalities of the day. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to deliver her welcome remarks, please put your hands together for Yang Berbahagia Dato' Haja Saraya binti Arbi, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Malaysia. Dato' Haja, Secretary General, please.
Thank you, our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Ben Uzair, and also Miss Melissa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Honorable Datuk Sri Panglima Masidi Manjun, State Minister of Local Government and Housing Sabah, Representative Chief Minister of Sabah Datuk Sri Panglima Haji Jino, Mr. Harry Huang, Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific, World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, Yang Berhormat Datuk Jafri Arifin, Minister of Tourism, Culture, Environment, Sabah, Malaysia, Datuk Muhammad Zamri Madzin, Deputy Secretary General, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Malaysia, Tan Sri Dr. Ong Hong Peng, Chairman of Tourism Malaysia, World Tourism Conference Consultant, Professor Datuk Chemist Dr. Mazlin Mokhtar, Deputy Head Research, United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, Asia, Sunway University, who will deliver his keynote on WTC 2022, Honorable Ministers who oversees tourism, Her Excellency, Ambassadors and Consul General from participating country, Malaysian State Tourism Exco, Secretary General, Permanent Secretary, Director General, and Head of Department either from federal or state, speakers, moderator, media participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great pleasure to wish everyone a warm welcome. Selamat datang. First of all, thank you for taking the time to join us on this very special occasion. It is truly an honor for Malaysia to once again host the World Tourism Conference, or WTC 2022. Now in its 6th edition, this year's WTC is particularly significant for us as we meet in the beautiful and enchanting Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, the land below the wind, to reconnect and reassess tourism's recovery in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the tremendous support and partnership of the World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, in co-organizing this tri-annual event. My utmost appreciation also goes to all our esteemed guest speakers and strategic partners, particularly the Sabah State Government and its agencies, for ensuring the successful organization of this conference. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have come a long way since the global tourism community last convened in Kuala Lumpur for WTC in 2019. In the wake of the worldwide pandemic and multiple crises which continue to disrupt the sector's growth trajectory, there is also a great window of opportunity for us to rethink and reimagine tourism for the future, which is more sustainable, inclusive, and less susceptible to shocks. Despite challenging headwinds to the global economy in 2023 and beyond, experts have great expectations for the tourism sector, predicting continued pent-up demand alongside new growth opportunities and emerging niche markets arising from the pandemic. For instance, as tourism recovery gets underway, we have seen the boundaries between work, home, leisure, and travel become increasingly blurred, requiring greater cross-collaboration with transport, health, security, cities, and urban planning for greater livability and quality of life for both visitors and residents alike. In a recent study, Euromonitor's latest Travel 2023 research also indicates that consumers are showing high levels of engagement in sustainable travel, while companies increasingly adopt science-based targets and government net zero strategies as the sector pivots to a quality tourism business model driven by affluent travelers. These are just some of the exciting prospects that will be explored during the two-day conference. Therefore, I hope the chosen theme of Tourism Futures Reimagined will inspire deep insights on the challenges, opportunities, trends, and forecasts shaping the future of the industry. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, within the context of Tourism Futures Reimagined, the conference will feature 5 impactful sessions which champions thought leadership on future scenarios and potential pathways of change, emerging niche markets, including digital nomads, and tourism in the metaverse, as well as environmental, social, and government, ESG, and impact investment opportunities. Delegates will also hear from some of the world's most innovative tourism destinations and companies on their inspiring success stories after the COVID-19 pandemic. We are honored to have with us a distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Chemist Dr. Mazlin Mohtar of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network Asia and Academy of Sciences Malaysia, who will, for the first time, bring a scientist's perspective to the conference theme, particularly in advancing a more sustainable tourism recovery which embraces energy transitions and carbon neutrality. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I would like to thank each and everyone who has worked tirelessly and wholeheartedly to make this conference a success. To all our esteemed delegates representing more than 60 countries around the world, I would like to encourage you to take time to experience Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, and enjoy the best of Malaysian hospitality during your stay here. With that, I wish you all a fruitful 2 days of deliberations and hope you will benefit tremendously from the expert speakers lineup as well as the emerging interactive sessions planned throughout this conference. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Dato' Haja. Now, Ben, I wish to point out that not only will our delegates be listening and learning from numerous presenters today and tomorrow, it is our wish as hosts to make WTC 2022 an immersive cultural experience when it comes to showcasing our arts and heritage.
That's right, Melissa. Even in this hall that we are in, the colorful Sabah batik tapestries right above our heads represent the many unique indigenous motifs and patterns inspired from the flora and fauna synonymous to Sabah, such as the wavy free forms of our shores and hills, the Venusap flowers and linopong leaves, the linangkit motifs of the Bajau Samah community in Tuaran and also in Kota Blut, the Inavol and Badu motifs from the Rungus community in the northern district of Kudat, the Sinimpong of the Murut in the interior of Sabah.
Well, speaking of batik, Ben, if you flew in on our national carrier and RWTC's official airline, Malaysia Airlines, you would have noticed the beautiful kebaya worn by the cabin crew, which features Malaysian batik at its best. And while we're on the topic of colors, we hope that our delegates will join us tonight at a very special extravaganza hosted by the Sabah state government. So while you enjoy our Malaysian cuisine, we will bring you a showcase of our rich Malaysian and Sabahan culture through dance, music, and fashion. So we'll party on later, I promise. We'll see you there tonight, I hope.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to deliver his address on behalf of the Right Honourable Chief Minister of Sabah, please welcome the Honourable Datuk Seri Panglima Masidi Manjun, Sabah's Minister of Local Government and Housing. Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri, please.
Terima kasih Ben dan Malaysia. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan good morning. First and foremost, the Right Honourable Chief Minister of Sabah is unfortunately unable to be with us today as he is currently attending the Rulers Conference in Kuala Lumpur, and I have been tasked to deliver his speech. So I can assure you it will be a very short one. And I hope, even with his absence, everyone will have a good time in Kota Kinabalu. Yang berhormat our host, basically, Mr. Harry Wang, the Regional Director for Asia and Pacific, World Tourism Organizations, my colleague, Yang Berhormat, Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Arifin, the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Environment of Sabah, our very able Secretary General of the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia, Dato' Haja Suraya, her deputy, Dato' Zamri, and I'm also happy to see again an old friend of mine, Tan Sri Dr. Hong Peng, the Chairman of Tourism Malaysia. I used to meet a lot, and probably the reasons why I have been chosen to represent the Chief Minister is not because of any other thing, but I know most of those who are here because I used to be the Tourism Minister of Sabah. So, and Tan Sri Ong is obviously one of my best friends. And we are going to have the privilege of listening to a keynote address by Dr. Maslin Mokhtar, Professor Dr. Maslin Mokhtar later. Welcome to Sabah. Honorable Ministers of Tourism, and of course, His or Her Excellencies, Ambassadors, and High Commissioners, and Consul General from participating countries, Malaysian State Tourism Exco, Permanent Secretaries, Head of Departments, and all participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to read the speech of the Right Honorable Chief Minister of Sabah. And here it is. Selamat datang to Sabah. A very warm welcome to all of you to the 6th World Tourism Conference, proudly hosted by the Sabah State Government with the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture of Malaysia and the World Tourism Organization, UNWTO. Your conference theme, Tourism Futures Reimagined, is timely and apt. Since opening our borders on the 1st of April this year, Malaysia and Sabah, for that matter, has been relentless in our pursuit of speeding up our growth and development, particularly in progressing tourism. I'm happy to know that in-person participations at this conference will put many heads together to address tourism futures and strategies driving tourism's recovery and resilience post-pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago, when my government took over the reins of administration in this state, Sabah, like the rest of the world, was hit hard by the pandemic, challenging all of us hard on personal, social, and economic level. But we did not let up, and we resolved to chart our state's future for the next 5 years. Hence, the launch of our 5-year Hala Tuju Sabah Maju Jaya, or the Sabah Development Plan, for 5 years from 2021. This became our roadmap, a pivotal blueprint to set out strategic directions for the state's economic development. The SMJ Development Plan has 3 main thrusts: agriculture, industry, and tourism. In addition, the plan also placed emphasis on human capital and well-being of the people, on connectivity, specifically green infrastructure and sustainability networks. The 3 sectoral economic thrusts will provide clarity on Sabah's key focus areas, especially for business and investors. We have done well since putting this development plan in place, and the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Today, high-impact multi-billion ringgit investments have all taken off to speed up development and providing employment for our people. And the best news is that from all this positive development, Sabah has continued to rake in good investments. From January to October this year, we recorded 12 billion worth of foreign investments and 942 million in domestic investments. It remains for us to push this momentum, and I cannot stress more here that we will continue to facilitate more investments into Sabah. Ladies and gentlemen, although Sabah's tourism was the worst affected sector these past 2 years, we did not let up in our efforts to manage the challenges. The state government dispensed a good budget to cushion the impact and to ensure the healthy development of our tourism industry, seeing that tourism generated the biggest revenue for the Sabah during the pre-endemic days. I'm happy to say that our efforts to empower local communities through the community-based rural tourism program have borne fruits. It is a thriving sector as we continue to see its steady growth throughout Sabah. Rural-based tourism provides the opportunity for us to grow and improve our economy, to improve our community-based tourism products through upscaling and product enhancement. This initiative has not only increased the state's tourism product offerings, but also improved the economic livelihood of the communities. I hope you will take time off to experience the ongoing community-based tourism roadshow being held at the sidelines of this conference. Sabah is proud to bring to you the rich cultural diversity of the state's 27 districts and 11 sub-districts right here at the Sabah International Convention Center. You will appreciate that more than 100 operators have established their businesses since the inception of 2 successful community-based tourism pilot projects in Sabah, namely in the district of Kadamayan in Kota and the sub-district of Kulu in Tuaran in 2014. And we are also proud that the Batu Putih Community Ecotourism Cooperative and Misa Walai Homestay in Sandakan in the Sabah's East Coast was recently selected as one of the winners of UNWTO's inaugural Best Tourism Villages Award in 2021. What all this means to Sabah is we are on the road to recovery. We have embarked on various recovery initiatives, including putting the state on international impactful high visibility, joint promotional destination campaigns with industry and airlines, as well as media familiarization programs, among others. Special airline incentive to airlines were also introduced to encourage airlines to resume international routes into Sabah, and as this month, 6 airlines have resumed their international routes to Kota Kinabalu. It is also a good sign that Sabah has managed to register 1.2 million domestic and international visitors from January to September this year, with an estimated tourism receipt of 2.1 billion. From the 5th of December this year to 1st of January next year, Sabah will have additional 24 international flights per week from Tepi, Narita, Busan, in Hong Kong, which will add 52% to the current international seat capacity. Sabah continues to explore as many initiatives to enhance our tourism, recognizing its importance as an economic catalyst, and to ensure that Sabah remains as one of Malaysia's favorite tourism destinations. Ladies and gentlemen, in my 2023 budget speech on Friday, I have stressed that my government will endeavor to restore and develop the tourism sector through various programs next year. I have allocated a total of 134.59 million to the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment and its department agency for tourism development. This will include upgrading of tourism facilities in human capital development for the community-based tourism. I've also announced that Sabah Convention Bureau, or SCB, will be set up and operational by next year. The SCB will accelerate the growth of the tourism industry through tourism-based business events to make Sabah a preferred destination for meeting, incentive, conference, and exhibitions that will generate economic activities for the benefit of the hospitality, logistics, aviation, and other related sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, it is good to know that some 1,000 delegates from more than 60 countries have converged here in Kota Kinabalu for the conference. We are delighted to have you in Kota Kinabalu and hope you stay here will be a memorable one. Sabah is blessed with the enchanting beauty of rainforests, alluring beaches, and idyllic islands, earning the epithet, the land below the wind. With a simplicity and charm personified by its remarkable, warm, and welcoming people, Sabah is the ultimate heaven to explore during and after the conference. And I may add here, and in humility I would say, and I'm proud to say that I think the most tolerant Malaysians live in Sabah. And I can assure you that you have among us, we are not judgmental. We don't see people in terms of race or religion, and that's exactly the reasons why we continue to be very, very popular destinations. And with more than 30 ethnic races, there are too many races to fight each other. So we decided to have peace, live together in peace, and learn, of course, to respect other cultures too. So, in conclusions, I hope Sabah will provide an inspiring backdrop for the insightful discourse at this conference. I wish you all a fruitful deliberation. Enjoy yourself in Kota Kinabalu and come back again. Thank you.
Kota Huadan, terima kasih. Thank you to the Honorable Dato' Sri Panglima Masidi Manjun. Now, Melissa, our delegates today are wearing a special lanyard, it seems, at the World Tourism Conference. Not your typical lanyard that is made out of plastic or ribbon.
You're right, Ben. Now, the lanyard that you're wearing today is made out of beads, and it is locally made by the Rungus community, handwoven, who reside in the northern district of Kudat, and we call it the Pinnacle. We hope that this will make a great souvenir for you, a symbol of our friendship and the bonds that we shall create right here at WTC 2022.
We hope that you will take it home and have fond memories of WTC 2022. I sound like it's the closing ceremony, but it's not. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to introduce our next guest. To deliver his opening remarks, please welcome Mr. Harry Huang, UNWTO Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific. Mr. Huang, please.
Your Excellency, Datuk Seri Panglima Masidi Manjun, the State Minister of the Local Government and Housing and State Minister of Finance, Sabah, and Datuk Hajat RB, Saraya RB, the Secretary General of Tourism, Art and Culture of Malaysia, and Honorable Jeffrey Arfin, the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Environment of Sabah, and Datuk Muhammad Jamni Mat Jain, the Deputy Secretary General of Tourism, Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture of Malaysia. Distinguished guests, prominent speakers, dear friends, and ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. It's truly a pleasure for me to be here this morning on the occasion of the 2022 version of the iconic World Tourism Conference, which the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, Art and Culture of Malaysia is jointly organizing with the World Tourism Organization. And first and foremost, I wish to thank the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture of Malaysia and the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment of Sabah for the excellent preparation and arrangement that has been done for this conference. And I equally appreciate the very warm Malaysian hospitality we have enjoyed since we arrived a couple of days ago. And this year's conference is very significant for Sabah because Kota Kinabalu is playing host the second time after 12 years. And undoubtedly, it is a clear testament to its fame as a major tourist destination and a gateway for travelers visiting this enchanting Sabah and Borneo. And Kota Kinabalu is certainly not only one of the most attractive and fantastic popular tourist destination, not just here in Malaysia, but as a Asia-Pacific region as a whole. When I came here in 2010 for the first time when Kota Kinabalu hosted the second edition of World Tourism Conference, and I was so impressed by natural wonder and the culture and unique culture and beauty with stunning the tourism facility that I made a point to recommend it to many of my Asian friends, including my fellow countrymen of Korea, because I saw it. This destination, enchanting Sabah, is a very ideal destination to visit with one's family and friends. And I'm happy to report that my word, many of them have taken me at my word and have came to experience the beauty of Kota Kinabalu, of enchanting Sabah. So any of you have seen some Korean when you have a breakfast, some contribution came from me. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now turn our attention to the objective of this meeting. And we cannot deny the fact that the past 2 years have been the most difficult in the recent past for the global tourism sector because of COVID-19. But thankfully, some of the challenges that it brought in its trail, including the closure of borders of destinations the world over, are now history. And according to the latest data of UNWTO Tourism Barometer, the major source market, mainly from Europe and America, have started to open in the aftermath of pandemic, with the more travel restrictions being lifted. And this is generating the continuous increase in the number of international tourists worldwide. And as a matter of fact, the international tourist arrivals for the first 9 months of this year were more than double compared with last year, the same month last year. And in other words, our sector has recovered the 62% of pre-pandemic level. And then is on track to reach around 65% by the end of this year. And we are therefore quite optimistic about a solid and steady recovery of our tourism sector in the immediate future. And my colleague Javier Ruesca, the UNWTO's senior official for our tourism market intelligence and competitiveness, will provide you with more in-depth information on the current global and regional tourism trend when we deliver a presentation in the session 1. But apart from the proverbial light, when we are all seeing at the end of the tunnel, the silver lining to the cloud of pandemic is the fact that we have opened our eyes. It has opened our eyes to the need to rethink tourism in order to transition into a new kind of tourism which advocates the transformation of our sector in a more sustainable and resilient manner, capable of withstanding the future crisis situation. And this means that returning to the business as usual as we knew it prior to the pandemic is no longer an option. Dear friend, COVID-19 has also taught us to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the recovery of the tourism globally to reimagine the tourism sector and to transform it. And this is one of the reasons why this year's World Tourism Day theme of last September in Bali was Rethinking Tourism. The theme was further highlighted at the G20 Tourism Ministers meeting, also in Bali, during which my Secretary General, he urged the leaders in tourism to seize the opportunity to rethink and transform tourism in order to capitalize on its great potential for the sustainability. And this is also why the theme of this conference, World Tourism Conference 2022, that is Tourism Future Reimagined, is very apt because it reflects the collective task of all tourism stakeholders to rebuild our powerful tourism sector from an innovative and transformative perspective so as to craft our practical solution for our tourism industry future. We are gathered here, therefore, with the main objective of discussing the most compelling issues, the latest innovation, the trend, challenges, as well as the strategy that can drive our tourism recovery and resilience in a post-pandemic world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is undeniable that we are not out of the wood yet, considering that we are having multiple challenges, including the impact of the war in Ukraine on the world economy and rising interest rate and high prices of energy and consumer goods, and all of which are contributing to mounting the cost of living. And yet, despite these challenges and their accompanying uncertainties, which are threatening to undermine the consumer's behavior, we are confident that the pace of tourism recovery will not be stopped because of our sector's proven capacity to rebound in the face of global challenges. So this is why I feel very encouraged to see such a wide range of global prominent speakers, including the policymakers, experts, academia, and industry leaders in tourism, whose wealth of knowledge and expertise are sure to provide us with deep insight in the theme of this conference and enlighten us on the strategy to accelerate the recovery of tourism industry. And I'm very glad Dr. Ong Hong Peng, the UNWTO anchor consultant who has contributed to this conference from day one since 2007. In closing, the UNWTO is extremely happy to have more than 1,000 participants, including 300 international delegates. And this volume of more than 1,000, even before pandemic, is amazing, fantastic. But right after this, in the middle of reopening our door, 1,000 international delegates with the local, I never heard about it. So congratulations. This certainly signifies the extent to which Malaysian tourism stakeholders appreciate this well-established event. So let's get started and ready for the fourth session of the program ahead of us today and tomorrow to participate actively in ensuring the discussion, which promises to be very engaging and instructive. And thank you, Terima kasih.
Kamsahamnida, Mr. Huang. Terima kasih. If you could kindly remain on stage.
And I'd like to invite our other distinguished guests seated at the front row to please join Mr. Huang on stage for the opening ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a mystical and enchanting journey. On the count of 3, our guest of honor will pull the lever to symbolically commence the ceremony. Let's do a countdown together, shall we, Melissa?
Yes, let's.
Here we go. 3,
2,
1.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, from the heartland of Sabah, the Murut warriors represent fierce resilience and bravery despite challenging times, much like the trials and tribulations we face during the pandemic. Amidst the chaos, a graceful Bajau Sama princess now appears, bearing a jar of magical elixir, an emblem of hope for a triumphant future, the ability to shine even through the darkest of times.
The Bajau Princess will now pass the jar of elixir to our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, as our guest of honor pours the elixir into the box, may our hearts be filled with courage and that we shall dare to envision tourism, futures reimagined. With that, ladies and gentlemen, the World Tourism Conference 2022 is now officially launched. I'd like to kindly invite our friends from the media to take their positions, and we'd like to invite Dato' Haja Saraya RB, who would like to present a memento of appreciation to the Honorable Datuk Sri Panglima Masidi Manjun, our guest of honor today. Thank you so much, Datuk Sri, for your presence today. Dato' Haja Saraya RB would also like to present a souvenir to Mr. Harry Huang. And I'd like to kindly invite our distinguished guests to please come forward for a group photograph, please. Let's smile. Let's do the thumbs up this time. Maybe the love sign as well. Thank you so much to our distinguished guests on stage. Let's give a big hand to all of them.
Terima kasih, Kota Huadan. That was quite the launch, wasn't it, Ben?
Absolutely symbolic, together with all the culture elements that we love right here in Sabah.
I'm sure the ambush of those Murid warriors woke some of the people at the back up.
I'm so sorry. I hope that we have good insurance just in case if, we got startled there. But moving onwards to our first agenda.
That's
of
right.
The
So
WTC.
we've come to the keynote presentation, ladies and gentlemen. And before we begin, allow me to give a brief introduction on our guest for today. He is Professor Datuk Chemist Dr. Mazlin Mokhtar, Deputy Head of Research for the United Nations and Sustainable Development Solutions Network Asia, Sunway University. That was quite a mouthful. I'm glad I didn't stumble on that.
It's okay, Melissa. Go ahead.
Professor Mazlin was a senior professor and research fellow at the University Kebangsaan Malaysia for 37 years. And he is currently the chairman of the Environment Committee of Academy of Sciences Malaysia and Environmental Quality Act's Appeal Board member. He is the winner of the Langkawi Award 2018 and was the longest-serving member of the National Steering Committee of UNDP GEF Small Grants Program from 2000 to 2018. He is also the Advisory Committee of National River Care Fund and a member of WWF Malaysia's Board of Trustees 2014 to 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Professor Datuk Chemist Dr. Mazlin Mokhtar.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Ben. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Salam Sabah maju jaya. Salam perpaduan Malaysia. First and foremost, thank you very much for inviting me. Yang berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Marsidi, Mr. Harry Huang of WTO, Datuk Suraya, Yang berhormat Datuk Jeffrey, semalam kita jumpa di majlis makan malam. Datuk Zamri, terima kasih jemput. Tan Sri Ong, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. For the next 40 minutes or so, we need to reimagine the future for tourism. When we imagine, some of us would like to close our eyes, but please don't go to sleep. We have an important agenda to do. Next slide, sir. Whoa. Anyway, the issues that had been mentioned by Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima, Harry Huang, and Datuk Suraya, 3 issues, big ones, which are, why are we here today? because business cannot be as usual. We need to develop tourism to become more sustainable. And we've heard throughout the many months and previous years, including during the pandemic, when we build, we must build better. It must be better. Business cannot be as usual. And building back greener, that is a challenge. And to do this, for the tourism services provider, particularly the hotel managers, we had been for the past 2 months getting together with them to look at how green hotel management practices, for example, looking at the environmental aspects, economic aspects, and social aspects, we need to do better. And when we are doing this, we need to align to the national policies. And in Malaysia, quite a few months ago, there had been announced a new energy policy, bringing us to 2040. The president of SDSN, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, the world-renowned economist, always say, hey, countries of the world, you have beautiful roadmaps, you have beautiful blueprints, but you need to figure out what are the 5-year program, 7-year program, 10-year program. Look at it, do it step by step. The devil is in the detail, but that detail is much needed. Malaysia, we have the National Tourism Policy. Sustainability is the big agenda inside it. And of course, IPCC called for better act and thinking to rise up to the challenges of rising up to policy on climate change. WST in Malaysia is a water sector transformation up to 2040. And local district plan. Whatever we do, bring it down to state, to local level. And nowadays, all industries are encouraged to think of ESG, environment, sustainability, and governance. You must track how your company or entity is doing, try to report it, try to share that information with the public. And of course, all this shall contribute to the agenda of reducing our carbon emission, lowering it, and in most countries and in most districts, they announce a low carbon city, low carbon island, and so on. Then, Malaysia, are you alone? Our country, are we alone? No. You look at the regional initiative. And for us, it's always the ASEAN, like the ASEAN Tourism Strategic Plan, and of course, MOTAC, they always provide the standards and the guidelines. And again, at the global level, it is SDG, business industry, look at the Global Compact. Next one, please. Yeah. Economic impact, whatever we do, we need to ensure, even though we are faced with challenges, there are always business opportunity. And that business opportunity must not only benefit a certain group, but must be shared as far as possible with all tiers of society. And challenges in tourism industry, of course, forever we are challenged with the fluctuation in currency exchange, seasonal dependence, taxation, inflation, and regulatory issues. But as all our distinguished speakers had mentioned this morning, are we alone? No. Why are we gathered among the 1,000 of all of us here? We need to find that solution, and we are not alone. Yeah, tourism, there are so many kinds. Some would highlight 3, some would highlight 5, but some countries have about 150 glossary of tourism. All are relevant, be sensitive to it, figure out the new creative, innovative ways. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Since 2015, we have the 17 goals, 169 targets, about 240-something indicators. I hope some of you have memorized the 242 indicators. If you ask me, even the 169 targets also I cannot remember. But we do know in some of these we are strong, some not so, but don't be scared. Everybody is experiencing the same. Every year, SDG, performance of countries, are being shared by SDG headquarters in Paris, SDSN in Paris, and if you Google that, you can find the ranking. And Malaysia, for the past 6 years, we are about 50 to the 70 among the about 169 countries. Not so bad, but we believe we can do better. How? By doing it together. So 4 sites of sustainable tourism. The largest market is, of course, the European and the Scandinavian countries. But you look at the fastest growing market of the blue color. It is our region, the Asia and Pacific. And we are so happy to hear from Datuk Seri Panglima Masidi mentioning about the strategy of the Sabah government. We salute Sabah. You have been quite at the leading edge in terms of combining conservation and nature-based tourism. You see, if you go to Sabah, some of the conservation areas, they do have high valuable natural resource, but they don't mine. They mine, M-I-N-E. They preserve it, they conserve it, they go for nature-based tourism, education, and research. We salute you. We shall come back to some more examples of the Sabah. Yes, some countries are very reliant on tourism and affected by various challenges, pandemic, and also the climate change. And looking at this slide, it is coming from the Chief Statistician of Malaysian government. Under Datuk Seri Muhammad Uzzaim Mahidin, since the past few years, Malaysian government are very serious in tracking what are the data and information we can report and share with all Malaysian and the world. And from this, we can see that towards the end of last year and early this year, we were challenged by flood, which is also the product of the climate change impact. And the losses totaling about 6 billion ringgit. And ladies and gentlemen, look at Pakistan. 1/3 of the country is under flood water few months back, and the losses are much more. So let's be ready and get prepared. And with disaster, not only we know how to respond to disaster, but more importantly, how to prepare and be ready better. Tourism outlook from EIU, pretty much what Mr. Harry Wang had shared. We expect 2023 we can recover, but now because of the challenge of some conflict, geopolitical conflict, we have to defer to 2024. Tourism arrival will rise, but as Mr. Harry Wang had said, it's quite a challenge to get to where we were during the pre-pandemic. But ladies and gentlemen, we must not give up, but carry on working together. And look at the examples. But of course, the region which is most active is the Western Europe, then comes the Eastern Europe, then Asia is somewhere in the middle, and of course, Latin America is there, and the Middle East and Africa. Labor shortage. When we were challenged with the pandemic, some of the employees we have to let go, but when we reopen, it's very difficult to get 100% back to join us again. This is another challenge that we all must figure out. If we ever going to be hit again by a pandemic, how can we prepare better, be ready? So maybe some sort of financial mechanism and creativity and innovativeness we need to figure out. If we were ever hit again by something like the pandemic, how can we try to retain and sustain our employee? Maybe the richer countries, when I was having a chat with Datuk Zamri at the airport yesterday, maybe richer countries, they can support their employee because they are quite well off in terms of financial. But for developing countries and small countries, this is a big challenge. How can we do it perhaps, Datuk Sri Marsidi Manjun, and all the ministers and all of us? The idea is, don't put the burden only on our leaders, but government forever are encouraging the business and private sector. insurance companies, try to figure out some innovative scheme, how we can support the employee. Government, like Dato' Zamri had mentioned, working very, very hard to give subsidies and financial help. But is that enough coming from government alone? The answer is not. So we need to come up with some sort of creativity and innovativeness. So labor shortage is there. Next one, please. Can somebody help me? Okay. Yeah, WTO highlight on the international tourism. Some are recovering much faster, particularly the segment from Europe and also Americas. Challenging areas are our region of Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. And these are some of the figures for the ASEAN countries. Prior to the pandemic, Malaysia is enjoying 26 million persons of tourists coming to Malaysia. During the pandemic, it dropped to 4 million, and 2021, we are catching up, and as Harry Huang had mentioned, we are still catching up. And some figures for the other ASEAN countries, as you can see from the slide. Another challenge. We are excited to build back better, but we must build back better, forward, greener. This would mean, please take a check on whether what we are doing is going to exceed the maximum carrying capacity of what our state or country would offer. Global Footprint Network estimate the annual demand when we are continuing to develop and expanding, we are putting impact on ecological resources through our services. They call it, let's look at country overshoot day. How fast a particular country in their trajectory of development, they will exceed the maximum carrying capacity. So countries are being arranged from the date, the earliest to the latest. The earlier you reach the overshoot day, not so good. And which country is that? Qatar, who is hosting the Football World Cup. And maybe this year they're going to reach the overshoot day earlier maybe. Because some of the stadiums we heard, it's under air conditioning. Can you imagine? Malaysia, May 16. Wow, is it bad? Quite good or quite bad? But Malaysia is in the company of Spain, Switzerland, Bahamas, Montenegro, United Kingdom. In the region, wow, Indonesia is doing very well. December the 3rd. Ecuador, December the 6th. The best among all of us is Jamaica, December 20th. So in the breakout session, let's go and interact with our friends from Jamaica, Ecuador, and Indonesia, how to make sure we continue developing but not exceeding the overshoot day. The average for the world is about July for 2022 and 21, but during the pandemic, the overshoot is delayed by one month, Datuk. It's August 2020. Just to remind ourselves, whatever we do, we shall have an impact in terms of carbon footprint, water footprint, ecological footprint. So these are showing the figures of 1972, the white color, and 2017, the green color. You look at the footprint on the right-hand side. Low-income country, lower middle income, upper middle income, and the high income. If you look at the about 47 years, for low income, from 1.5 to 2, small increment. Lower middle income, from 3, it becomes 5. But you look at the upper middle income. I think Malaysia is included here. From 8 to 17, double up. For high income, 20 to 27. If it were to double up, we would expect 40, but it's only 27. So it is true. Developing country need to carry on developing if we were to manage our footprint to be better, that's why developing country had been shouting, hello advanced country, please provide some assistance to really help us to lower our carbon emission, to really help us achieve carbon neutrality faster. Just another example to show what are perhaps the carbon dioxide emissions per capita. For the global world, 2020, 4.49 tons per person, per capita. Malaysia, 8.42 tons. We need to really rethink about how we carry on with our development business. Singapore, 8. Thailand, 3.6. Vietnam, 2.61. Indonesia, 2.1. Philippines, 1.2. Cambodia, 0.9. And Myanmar, 0.6. Can we do it? Sabah boleh, Malaysia boleh, inshallah. Carbon footprint of the global tourism. Which sector perhaps are contributing to the bigger carbon footprint? Transportation, ladies and gentlemen, 49%. Then come the goods, and then food, F&B, and then agriculture, services, lodging, construction, and mining. So of the transport modes, the highest contributor is aeroplane. So that's why, if ever we travel faraway places, come back, try to plant a few trees. SUV, no wonder there's one group of population in the advanced country, she went puncturing the tires of SUV because she said SUV emits a lot of carbon dioxide. Datuk Masidi, what are you driving? Anyway, tak apa. Low carbon island and cities. Yeah, many countries and states are doing this, including in Malaysia, and we also encourage the important tourist destination to do this. And Langkawi was among the first. During Datuk Nawawi was the member of parliament over there. But whether it is effective, quite challenging. A lot of people would like to buy EV, electrical vehicle. But the problem in Malaysia is we don't have enough charging station. And only recently, about a few weeks ago, during the campaigning of the GE15, then we heard, we're going to set up 1,000 charging station and 10,000 by 2030. A bit slow. Jadi tengoklah Datuk Marsidi, maybe Sabah can expedite and accelerate and become good example. Sabah boleh, Datuk? Inshallah. Ecotourism. Me coming from environment, I was here as a young lecturer in 1988 to 1996. Wonderful project of research everywhere in Sabah. I admire Sabah. Really, you can balance that. So ecotourism is really good. It's nature-friendly tourism. And the good indicator, second last point, a good indicator is the amount of land still under tropical forest cover. And for Malaysia, as of May this year, Malaysia reported 55% are still under tree cover, which is 18 million hectares. And Sabah, under the Heart of Borneo program, Datuk, which is about 15 years ago, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, they declare to safeguard the forest ecosystem of Borneo. And in Sabah at the moment, Sabah Forestry Department is doing a good job. They come up with a good strategic plan, trying to target certain percentage under permanent forest reserve, which is very good. But Chief Minister and Minister would say, Mazlin, you say don't lock, don't this, don't mine. How to earn income? The answer is ecotourism. And Sabah has been doing that. Well done, Sabah. Keep it up. And of course, while doing this, don't forget the education and capacity building. That is the first transformation plan. Must inform, must educate. Because all of us, we are being trained in silo. But to find sustainable development solution, you really need to cross the boundaries of disciplines, of knowledge, and must bring people from all sectors. opportunities. We are very happy. Already some of the airlines are already utilizing biofuel. And more, including just now, the top right-hand corner, we are happy to see Air Asia advocating palm oil for biofuel program. That was 2019, 3 years. But any development, update? Not so yet, but I like to believe it's because of the pandemic. We pray some of the Malaysian airlines would try to go for biofuel, and maybe Malaysia Airlines also can make the difference. Yeah? Be an example, inshallah. Former coal mining area being converted to green tourism. This is an example of France. They don't use that mining area anymore. They convert it into UNESCO World Heritage. I know that Sabah also have a plan for Lumbung Tembaga Mamut copper mine. Already they stopped mining, and I think they are planning how to convert it into a UNESCO heritage site. But we congratulate Sabah. Kinabalu area already have triple crown. They become the World Heritage Site Kinabalu. They become the Biosphere Reserve UNESCO. And recently, Kinabalu also UNESCO Global Geopark. Congratulations, Datuk Jafri Arifin and Sabah government. This is also a little bit our pride in a way. The Sunway City in Kuala Lumpur actually was built from an abandoned tin mining area. In the 60s and 70s, Malaysia were #1 in terms of tin mining. And Tan Sri Jeffrey Chia, under the Sunway Group, they convert the wasteland into wonderland. And if you have some time in Kuala Lumpur, please come have a look where this process is still ongoing. Through smart technology, smart infrastructure. Malaysian, good food. We eat plenty, we also waste plenty. On average, Malaysians are wasting about 8,000 tons per day. Anyway, one entity in Europe, in Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken, Netherlands, they did a study. If we really rethink, reimagine, and redoing better, for every $1 invested for this sort of purpose, you can save US $7. So, ladies and gentlemen, including hotels in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, and Malaysia, Datuk Seraya, we can explore this. ESG is high on the agenda of Bursa Malaysia. All the top companies which are listed at the Bursa Malaysia, they are encouraged now to do ESG reporting. At the moment, I think it's still voluntary, but soon it's going to be compulsory. I suppose tourism operator also need to warm up with ESG. What is it? You must track how is your company doing in terms of environment, social, and governance. And not only that, you must report so that and share with the public and the government. And this is going to be assessed and given a rating. Each company will given an ESG rating, and banks and financial houses in the future, or even now, they will request, before they provide loans, they want to see your ESG rating. And companies with ESG initiatives and reporting, normally they will perform better, including during pandemic. This is a good example of a rating. If you are a leader in ESG, you are given AAA or AA. Average, BBB, BB. If you are lagging, B or CCC. And you can see during pandemic, those who are ESG AAA rating or AA, or even the average, will perform better than the pink color. Malaysia Productivity Corporation. Combining with certain consultants and private sector, they are looking at community-based tourism, as mentioned by Datuk Marsidi. The Academy, under Malaysian Productivity Corporation, they're looking at upskilling, reskilling the local community, reinforcing lifelong learning to continually acquire new and emerging skills. So, ladies and gentlemen, whatever we do, no one should be left behind. Especially, you must include the indigenous community. And we know, Sabah, you are doing it very well. We've been following you through reports, including the Heart of Borneo report by Sabah Forestry Department. Some success stories to encourage sustainable tourism. We look at Peru. They bring in the indigenous community. The Esaja Indian community, you look at the sharing of profit. The indigenous Indian community receive 60% of the profit in the joint venture with the private sector. So we should rethink and doing. Business cannot be as usual. Profit must be shared. And this is one good example. We hope there's someone from Peru who can share with us in the breakout session. Sabah, congratulations. Tun Mustafa Marine Park, 1 million hectares. I was involved in the initial study. We know they took a long time, 11 years, to decide Tun Mustafa Marine Park to be conserved. Congratulations, they did that. Danum Valley is an example which we researchers really salute. I think about 40, 45 years. If you visit Danum Valley, what is quite innovative is that's among the first in Sabah and in the country where they apportion the logged area on one side and the untouched area on one side. We compare. Even the logged area, they did it through SFM, Sustainable Forest Management. Maliau Basin, I was with Academic Science Malaysia around 2006, 2007, 1,000 meters above sea level. We did the expedition. We saw the beautiful coal seam, Arang Batu. Beautiful. Most people will not stand by looking at the coal. Definitely we want to mine it, but not Sabah. Sabah keep it and declare Maliau Basin Conservation Area. Congratulations. And they keep it and they earn money now through tourism, through education, through research. And of course, Imbak Canyon, the latest one. And I heard there's going to be 2 more. Well done, Sabah. Now going to Malaysia, Semenanjung, Malaysia, Langkawi Island, the first global geopark, and also a few states in Malaysia are following this. Becoming national geopark first before becoming the global geopark. Putrajaya Lake under UNESCO International Hydrological Program is a world demo site where they convert the dirty lake problem into a first-class lake system by utilizing constructed wetlands. Langat River is also under the UNESCO Hydrology for Environment, Life and Policy. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have problem. Can we find solution? Yes. But how you do it? Multi-helix cooperation and collaboration. Australia, Great Barrier Reef. We know we have some learned practitioner and from academia of Australia. You are also grappling with climate change. The surface sea temperature is increasing. Land-based pollution also gets into the Great Barrier Reef, but during the pandemic, they recover bit by bit. So hopefully, the corals are having back their colors bit by bit. Again, it is a working, finding solution through cooperation and collaboration. Ecuador, Galapagos. To enter Galapagos, you have to make a booking well in advance. And the price is not so cheap, same like Sabah, Sipadan Island. It used to be many tourist operators on the island, but one day, Sabah government say, please move out, let Sipadan recover, and today, they control the number of scuba divers is 120. I thought I saw Samson Shark, Borneo divers. Are you here? But anyway, that was my first diving lesson here at Datuk Wan Sidi with the Borneo divers. Tourism in Japan. Everybody loves to go to Japan. Everybody loves to visit the temples of Japan. So serene, so peaceful, so clean. Expecting better hygiene, better sanitation, more clean the environment. Let's try to figure out how Japan can do it. Even at the World Cup soccer in Qatar, after a soccer match, everybody goes home, Japanese tourists will pick up the rubbish. Oh my God. Where did they learn about this? Any Japanese in the room? Yeah, that's one. 999 other participants. Please zoom in on Mr. X from Japan here. Third seat, the right hand side. Please stand up, sir. Malaysian, we really need to buck up and change. Netherlands, what we learn? We can develop, yes. Can we build highways? Yes. But please think of the fauna, the wildlife. Think of the wildlife crossing. But Semenanjung, Malaysia, Central Forest Spine, if you Google Central Forest Spine, Malaysia, yeah, they are thinking about connecting the 4 main complexes to allow movement like this. So we are learning. Don't be shy to admit our weakness, our shortcoming. That is the number 1 rule. Admit our weakness. Don't be shy to learn from others. Preparedness is the final point I want to say. 7 more minutes. IMF mentioned tourism in a post-pandemic world. Yeah, we were scared when pandemic hit us in the beginning. No vaccine, no nothing, scared. Stay at home. 2 months. Eat, become big. But once the vaccine is there, we are happy. And we can gather 1,000, 2,000 in big halls like this. So we are praying, the bright scientists, the medical researcher, let's try to build up more vaccine centers around the world. So maybe in the breakout session, tourism industry need to be more sustainable because the tourists, when they travel nowadays, they want to know whether that location can provide a good health and medical service if they ever were to be sick. Because nowadays, insurance will cover for incidences of pandemic or unexpected illness due to travel. So we need to find ways and better ways to do this. Thailand allocates 700 million to spur domestic tourism. Vanuatu offered grants. We know that MOTAC also provides some grants to sustain tourist operator. Jamaica, they utilize online training certification for tourism worker. Still continuing, we admire Costa Rica. National holiday temporarily been moved to Monday to boost domestic tourism, extending weekend. Or kalau Malaysia, we do this, happy semua. Very happy, 3-day weekend. But quite smart to spur domestic tourism. Fiji, they launched a blue lane. Thailand, look into adventure travel, health and wellness, but everybody is still safeguarding the social distancing. Solutions will differ from country to country. We all need to find that solution, the new normal for the tourism industry. I'm sure the 1,000 of us here definitely can find that magical solution. This is by Grover 2022, 4 key recovery priorities for tourism. Try to look at local tourism more, and then don't destroy the ecology, protect it. You protect, you earn more. Look at Sabah, they had done it. Improve infrastructure. Infrastructure, really, you need to be creative in designing new kind of infrastructure to take care not only about the human being, also wildlife, and of course, people feel more comfortable to fly using aeroplane. But aeroplane is the most biggest carbon dioxide emitter. So in life, ladies and gentlemen, very difficult how to balance development and conservation. Smart guide, using technology. Some people, they want to go to certain touristic destination. They don't want to mingle with so many people. So some countries already come out with smart guide, handphone. You walk using like the Wave and the Google Go-To. And when you arrive at a certain point, you punch in a certain application, you get information about that touristic site. We were thinking about this for Global Geopark Langkawi. If you arrive at a certain geosite or a cave, you pay maybe US 99 cents. You can figure out distribution. Who gets 10 cents, who gets 9 cents. We can figure that out. Smart guide. Prepare for disaster. For Malaysia, more frequent flash floods, we need to figure out. For some other places, it's drought. So some other places, typhoon. Willingness to pay, is it there? Is it possible? Yeah. There shall be always someone or a group of someone who are willing to pay. But we must be ready to provide that expected and demanded service. This is a good example where government and private sector coming together. This was October this year. Dr. Zamri was there. Dr. Yasmin was there. The right-hand gentleman is Anthony Wong, owner of Frangipani Hotel. If you Google that, that is perhaps one of the greenest hotels in Malaysia. And Anthony, over the 30 years, in his hotel, he figured out environment-friendly ways. He has about now 260 rainwater harvesting system. He managed to save water bills by 50%. He brings in natural lighting. He has a small constructed wetland to treat the wastewater. He plant nature-based plant to protect the shore, so on and so on. And MOTAC are forever encouraging this. And Anthony has offered his hotel under the Malaysian Green Building and Malaysian Association of Hotel Owner endorsed this hotel as the Center of Excellence for Sustainable Hospitality. I'm sure Sabah, some of the hotels, can emulate and can do better. Another special niche. I think this is close to the heart of Datuk Suraya and Datuk Zamri, the Islamic Tourism Center. Among the different kinds of tourism, there are always the religious base, and we're happy for some of the countries which are, we know, non-Muslim countries like Japan and Thailand, they are already thinking of creative ways to provide good facility for the halal-seeking tourists. Thailand is now well known. When Malaysians go there, they came back, they say, ooh, toilets in Thailand are so clean now. No matter whether it's old or new, all are clean. What can we say about Japan? Forever clean, 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 peaceful. Malaysian in Japan will keep the rubbish in the pocket. Once they come to Malaysia, they throw again. So we need how to figure out to change our behavior. This is an example of academia working with practitioners and experts of tourism. Any good practice, academia, please do your research, and become the memory keeper. When practitioners do something, we observe, we record down, we share with the world. We hope this can be also followed by other researchers in the world. Sultan Nazrin always reminds us with his good messages. This is talking about ESG, particularly the Global Compact, particularly the young. When we do things, do not go for greenwashing, but do it with compassion and sincerity. Heart of Borneo, Sabah, 2nd December, about 3 days' time. In this hall, they are discussing the holistic and pragmatic approach. This one, I got it from Mr. Rohizam. I hope he's in the room. He's the president of the Malaysian Technology Tourism Association of Malaysia. He's willing to offer that his association can work towards building Malaysia as a tourism nation. So maybe he can share with you some of his ideas. Local reporting to support the voluntary national review. This is part of the Malaysian SDG Center as announced by Prime Minister last 6 September. We hope under the new Prime Minister, this will also carry on. I know this is under EPU, Economic Planning Unit, Prime Minister's Department. Towards the end, second last slide, rapid integrated assessment. This is how a tool can be used to help us mainstream SDG into our planning system. Only talk, not doing, no good. Try to figure out what is best for your locality. Takeaway messages, final. Tourists demand greater safety and security. We must prepare for a more climate resilient tourism. Quality tourism must be there. No one should be left behind, especially the indigenous community. And don't forget your employee. If they run away, you want to get them back, it's very difficult. Think of investment, think of circular economy. If possible, zero emission. If possible, zero carbon emission. Education is important, training is important. Health system is important. Energy system must be looking at cleaner sources. Sustainable land use, agriculture, forestry. Who knows the best balance? You. You know the best balance for your state, for your locality. Urban infra and livability, 70% or 75% are living in urban, high density, high challenges. Digitalization, do not forget, technology is always there to help us out, including for monitoring, tracking, and reporting. Nature tourism is a good way to balance conservation and income generation. And finally, don't forget good governance and financial system. Need to be creative and forever innovative. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sabah boleh, Malaysia boleh, insyaAllah. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mazlan. Let's give him a warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A very insightful keynote presentation there just now. A few announcements before we break for morning coffee, and I think Melissa has something to say about something regarding Malaysia Airlines. They have a QR code that we need to scan outside, especially if you've traveled with Malaysia Airlines to Kota Kinabalu.
Right, so everyone, you have a chance to experience the KLIA Golden Lounge. So all you have to do is visit the MAS booth, which is just outside the hall, and you can scan the QR code to fill in a very quick survey, and you are in the running for this amazing opportunity to experience the KLIA Golden Lounge.
There we have it. And ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our opening ceremony. Thank you so much for participating. Our guest of honor, Datuk Sri Masidi Manjun and Datuk Jeffrey Arifin, will depart the venue shortly to attend the State Legislative Assembly proceedings. And we also like to invite Datuk Saraya Arbi, Datuk Zamri, Mr. Harry Huang, Tan Sri Ong, and Madam Norida Othman to attend the opening of the community-based travel roadshow on Level 2. Announcing the departure of our guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now break for morning coffee. Our session will begin in 10 minutes.
So it's a quick coffee run, a toilet break, and we'll be back here at 11 a.m. for session 1, Decoding some Futures, Foresight and Scenarios, here at Sipadan 1, Level 4. And just a quick reminder, we will be having some very exciting lucky draws. So we do hope that you come back to the hall to stand a chance to win these great prizes during these sessions and panel sessions. So we'll be back here at 11 a.m.
See you shortly.